I mean, it's been a strong rally for the cryptocurrency. It's up something like 50% since September, and it has doubled since its mid-year levels. How much of this can we attribute to this Bitcoin futures ETF and the fact that you now have more demand within the futures contracts market right now because of these types of funds being rolled out?
Well, it's certainly been a catalyst for Bitcoin's appreciation, but it's not the only thing that's going on here. I think if you look at Bitcoin in the broader context of cryptocurrencies, in a sense, it's become a safe haven. Bitcoin has been essentially blessed by regulators as a non-security. And as such, it doesn't face the same challenges that the so-called altcoins, other cryptocurrency tokens, could face, especially as Chairman Gensler has made it clear that, in his view, most of the tokens that trade on exchanges are securities. So Bitcoin has its own special status within the cryptocurrency ecosystem, and I think that that's definitely helping it here.
Yeah, I mean, how realistic is it to think that we could actually, especially given those comments we just heard from Gensler, that we could actually see a physically backed ETF manifest sometime in the near future? And I ask that, well, let's start there, and then I got another question for you on that.
Yeah, I am not anticipating that we're going to see anything happen on that front anytime soon. This has basically been a beacon to those who had previously entered Bitcoin ETF applications to reapply. Frankly, Chairman Gensler made it very clear. He views the Securities Act of 1940 as being in one category, hence Bitcoin futures ETF is approved. Everything else would be under the Securities Act of 1933. Which simply by focusing the way that he does on the 40 Act, makes it clear he looks at the 33 Act with some suspicion. So I think that clearly was under some pressure to do something, given everything that's swirling around crypto. This was frankly about the least thing he could do while still allowing the ecosystem to move forward to some extent.
Okay, so for investors out there that are debating on whether to invest in a Bitcoin futures ETF right now in the meantime, what makes that compelling, especially given the fact that there will be high fees associated with that, since you're talking about those rolling futures contracts, versus, say, the physical coins themselves and trading them on something like Coinbase versus some of the stock proxies like a MicroStrategy, for example, that I know you cover?
Yes. Frankly, I don't think that any individual investor, particularly a retail investor, should be looking at the Bitcoin futures ETF as an investment vehicle. The reality is that given the fact that you do have these very significant roll costs associated with this, the futures ETF could significantly underperform spot Bitcoin, especially when we're in what's known as contango, which is when the futures price of a commodity is higher than the expected spot price, which happens quite often. So this is not a vehicle for anyone outside of a professional trader. And we would strongly recommend, that investors either buy Bitcoin straight out, and if they're unable to do that and they are looking to buy a stock in the equity market, we think that MicroStrategy represents an attractive way to play Bitcoin, not only because of their enormous Bitcoin holdings on their balance sheet, which makes them look like a de facto ETF to some, but the fact that they have an underlying software company that's generating free cash flow, enabling them to buy yet more Bitcoin. So I would stay away from the Bitcoin futures ETF if I was a retail investor, but there are certainly other ways to play Bitcoin.